Welcome to the A Strings Podcast, episode 10.
This is it, the season finale.
So we've decided that we're going to do these podcasts in kind of chunks of 10, just to kind of refine things. So we're not going to be away for too long. Did we say we're going to give ourselves 4 weeks off and then back?
Yeah.
So basically, we should be back just after Easter. So maybe we'll come back with an Easter special.
Nice.
That's Easter special.
An egg hunt.
Yeah.
But just in the room.
Although,
so all the people can listen to is just us foraging around in a room.
Yeah. We need 4 weeks as well to get over what I think will be a diabetic coma by the end of this episode.
This episode is unbelievable.
We've decided to do something a little bit different for Biscuit News this week, which we'll talk about later
in
on.
Biscuit News.
Yeah, in Biscuit News. Otherwise, Biscuit News is going to be void.
Well, let's run the normal news.
This is the news.
So we have kind of an update on the Facebook situation, haven't we?
Yeah. As things go on, it's really strange. I think that we've had, when we started these podcasts, we didn't know where we were going with it and how things were going to develop, and as opposed to 10 episodes on, and us being that much more structured and
professional.
Yeah, with everything, knowing what we're going to,
say.
Yeah. But it seems like it's kind of taken a bit of an arc, hasn't it? In as much as things that have really affected us over the last 10 weeks, we had no idea was going to happen at the beginning of January when we started these. So it's quite strange to kind of look back at things, retrospectively, and look at these events as they happened and how we've kind of dealt with them or not.
Yeah.
At the end of our kind of little series of podcasts, the state of play with Facebook is at the moment that we did the BBC thing last week. We had a few inquiries from people off the back of that, people who weren't aware that we were here, which is nice.
Yeah.
But with regards to Facebook, we were promised to get a bit of information with regards to what's happened.
Yeah.
And basically, they got back to us with, they stand by the decision. Decision's final. And it comes down to, so forget the reasons we mentioned before. The reason is that we apparently attracted likes and followers in a misleading way. So, so where they were accusing an administrator or administrators of dealing with third parties, does that still stand? The abusive and offensive content, does that still stand? No. It absolutely stinks of a company that just is too big for itself. It's been like hitting my head against a brick wall trying to deal with people on like a messenger chat. There's not been any verbal kind of to and fro, and it's been really, really annoying. And I said, I don't accept that decision. I need to take this further. And they said, you can fill out this form and give us feedback. I don't give feedback. I want to talk to somebody and get a direct answer. So that was on Wednesday, I think, Thursday last week. So we said, listen, shall we carry on fighting for this Facebook thing? Not let it lie, because it's an injustice and we need to kind of get it back. But shall we get a Facebook presence again, just to let people know that we're here, and maybe use that Facebook presence as a bit of a momentum with regards to trying to get Facebook to do something?
Yeah.
So...
But weirdly, when you
Friday evening, I was looking through just, creating a page and this, that, and the other. And they said, what do you want the page name to be? And I said, well, let's try the old kind of handle, A Strings UK. And it was available. I think, goodness sake, they've not... To take it away from us and to not tell us why is one thing. But then to make our name available to anybody to register, be it other businesses that might have similar names to us, or people want to register for more malicious reasons. It's bang out of order.
Yeah.
Why? They've just got no kind of courtesy to just let us know that this was the case. So we registered it. You two, Tom and Adam, have been working on it a lot over the weekend, putting some stuff up on there that we never really kind of looking at features that we never kind of used before, really. Like,
Yeah, so we've always had the video section, and it's always been stuff we've uploaded, like trailers for evenings or live. Obviously, anything live would go there and save there. But we've never used it as sort of an extension of our YouTube channel. So what we thought we'd do is, so people, when people come onto the page, the new page now, if they go to videos, and we'll mention it when we do our first live and things. You've got a whole. I think there's 20 videos of.
And how stupid were we before not to have done this? Because before we had almost 16,000 followers, likes on there.
Yeah.
YouTube, we got almost 3,000 subscribers. We got a much bigger audience for this stuff on Facebook, or we had a much bigger audience on Facebook that we have on YouTube. I know a lot of people actually watch the videos that don't subscribe and all that kind of thing. But still, you think, why didn't we do that before? So,
exactly.
As opposed to wallowing in self-pity, which we have done for a little bit. I have, certainly. And I think that you move on and you try to, make a positive out of it, which is what you two have kind of done. Which is what's so nice about being here, is that, you can kind of feel that, you're drowning with problems, and then all of a sudden, you two come in, and it's kind of right. Well, let's kind of make something of it.
I thought you were going to say the good thing is you come in and you feel like you're drowning with friends.
Yeah.
So it's not just me.
None of you are strong swimmers.
What badge is that on your pants? 5 meters.
5 meters. Yeah.
So the
E for effort.
The idea that we've said is, if we're doing this, we're going to do this better than we've had it before. The banner now is a video. It's a trailer video for the shop, which we've never had. We've always just done a photo banner. Just everything is going to be. It's going to be a one-stop shop, and I know it's that thing of we're not putting all our eggs in one basket.
This is the thing, what I'm dead scared about is, we only know how to behave in the way that we have done up until now. What is going to stop them from doing it again? If there's something that we're violating, if there's a good reason for this, we need to know it, because we can put all this effort into it, and
they can do it again.
Yeah. So I think one of the primary things that we need to kind of, obviously, we want to make it as entertaining and informative for the customers as we always have done, but we really do need to hammer home, listen, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, we're on all of that, and it's worth following us on that as well, because we don't want all our eggs to be in one basket, which, they weren't all in one basket before, but it was like we had 16,000 eggs in one basket, and then
the ratios were way off,
and 100 in another, So,
but and the scary thing is that they can click their fingers and not give us a reason again.
Yeah, scoundrels. I think we're going to launch the Facebook page tomorrow, shall we? Which is Wednesday, so it'll be up for a day by the time you lovely folks are listening to this. So
if you haven't already
liked it, please like it, please share it and review us, and tell your friends to like it, because we've got a lot of ground to regain.
So in guitar land, I guess the biggest news that's taken, it's interesting that it's taken even out of guitar sort of culture, it's gone mega, is Dick Dale dying or passing away.
What do you want to know about Dick Dale, mate?
Well, believe it or not, folks, we have the foremost Dick Dale expert with us. So let's tell you this story. We had a phone call Monday afternoon from BBC Radio Wales asking if any of us could go down to the studio and take a guitar and talk about Dick Dale's playing and surf rock and sort of his part in pop culture and things like that. So all of us were in the shop apart from Andrew. And
Tristan answered the phone originally, didn't he?
Tristan answered the phone, passed it swiftly over to me, who then thought, right, there's only one person who I can fob this off to. So you went down. So how was it?
Well, they give me like a pre-interview thing on the phone, and it's quite easy to talk about him, really. Do you know, I've got a guitarist magazine from, I think it's 1994.
Right.
1995. And I only would have bought guitarists back then because either Clapton or Brian May would have been on there. So it was one of those ones. But Dick Dale was in it. And I remember reading a bit about him in that and knowing of him, since then. So I've known him known of him. I've not been a particularly massive fan of his music, like the sound and all the rest of it. But thinking back on it, around about 94, 95, that would have been Pulp Fiction time, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So that all kind of ties together. So they wanted to talk about, you listen to Dick Dale play and you know straight away that it's him playing. Mm. And they want to know why that is, what makes that kind of, what gives somebody a signature sound, how easy is it to get your own guitar sound and all that kind of thing. And yeah, I talked at somebody for about 20 minutes on the phone, and they got back and they said, yeah, will you come in and do a little news piece? Mm. So, yeah, I was basically Wikipedia and Dick Dale sat outside in the BBC gallery, kind of Derek the Weatherman give me a bit of an eyebrow acknowledgement. And they've said they want to keep our details on for any future guitar related deaths.
Yeah.
or anything. But the wicked thing about it is that when they introduced me as Andrew Morgan from A Strings Guitar Shop in Treforest, which is amazing.
Yeah.
That's exactly why we need to do these things when we get offered, because
exactly,
it's exposure for our little shop.
Yeah.
So,
but it went well, and we all tuned in from the shop.
Did you?
It sounded really good.
We all kind of gathered around the wireless.
Around,
yeah.
We were. Chris walked in. He's like, "Oh, what's going on?" We're like, "Shut up!"
No, it's fun actually.
It sounded great. So, as much of a good thing as it was for us that Dick Dale had passed away. Being the foremost expert in Dick Dale, why do you think he's had such an impact sort of in the news? Do you think it's the sort of Tarantino Pulp Fiction thing? Do you think it's that link?
Well, Adam, and I did say this yesterday on BBC Radio Wales, that no, get rid of it. If you look at the time that he was around, he started in 58, 59 or whatever, going to Wikipedia. He was only kind of prominent, going to Wikipedia, for about 3 years or so, and then that's when all the Beatles and the Kinks and all that kind of went over to America. His music kind of got sidelined. He was kind of,
because it is a very American sound.
Yeah, and he was in the tail end of like the Buddy Holly kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But about 3-4 years before the Beach Boys and all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the way he played, he was a punk playing, because he was really, going at it, hammer and tongs kind of thing. So, the guy from the Direct Line adverts, he was in Pulp Fiction, wasn't he? Or was he
Harvey Keitel,
Reservoir Dogs, whatever. And at the end of that, at the end of all those adverts, you've got that 50s or 60s kind of surf rock kind of sound. And I think that, thanks to Pulp Fiction and him coming back into popularity for the last 20, 25 years or so, he has become kind of the godfather of that kind of particular sound. So, this is one of the things I was saying to the girl yesterday on the phone, is that everyone had to do something for the first time kind of thing. The amplifier that distorted for the first time, somebody did that, and it's kind of by accident. You don't manufacture these sounds. Nowadays we do, in as much as, we've got, you buy a little Katana or Mustang GT40, whatever, and you can dial in whatever sound you want, from the purest of cleans to the deathliest of metal sounds. Yeah. And you can kind of sculpt your tone, and you create your sound a lot more by design as opposed to by accident.
Yeah.
Back then, when an amplifier started buzzing or distorting, you were pushing it too loud, too hard. So, they designed Dick Dale the very first 100-watt kind of valve amplifier Fender made for him, because he needed more headroom and he needed to be able to play to loud audiences. He didn't want that kind of distortion. So all of this stuff is by accident, and he was the first one to do it. But what made him unique was the way that he played, and that kind of ferocious kind of way that he attacked the instrument. And he influenced what would have been, well, he apparently influenced Hendrix. So Wikipedia says that Hendrix said that without Dick Dale, there's no kind of I can't remember the exact quote, but he said without that, surf rock is dead. But also the way that he kind of approached the instrument, he wouldn't have necessarily gone down the avenues that he had if it hadn't been for him. So
Yeah.
I think, with all these guys, they might not be your favourite player, but your favourite players have probably been influenced by him in some way.
Yeah. I think I need some sugar. What do you think?
Let's bring on the biscuit news.
Bring it on!
Biscuit News!
So if you tuned in last week, you would know that we were all set a challenge, and we all rose to the challenge, including me, who was petrified. So I made mine on Sunday, and I got very excited when they all came out well. So I decided to go around everyone's houses and deliver.
So you pulled them out the oven, and you give them a little sniff. You thought, smells all right.
Well, I let them. I did 3 trays full.
3 trays full.
Yeah. I did 3 trays full, and so I let them cool down. Give them a dusting of ice and sugar. I obviously tried one.
I was going to say, how soon did you try one?
Well, the first one I tried, which I sent to Tom, was probably 5 minutes after the oven. So it was really
hot,
gooey.
Yeah,
really good. So I got very excited and decided to do some surprise home deliveries to everyone.
Yeah, very surprising. Because
it was really funny.
Yeah, I was painting a ceiling or a wall. I can't remember, but
it was a wall at the time.
It was 8:00 at night. I was on my own,
and then it was your pants.
Because you went. See, you popped around. Well, I'm moving house. You see, so my wife Kate was.
So I came to your house.
Yeah.
First, the one and you weren't there. So, so Kate had a cookie, and she said, "Whatever you do, call Andrew or text him on the way up, so he knows you're coming. So he knows you're going to be there. Otherwise, you'll scare the living death out of him."
I'm a jumpy person. I can be playing.
And what do you think I did? I didn't ring or text him, did I?
But you were just stood outside, like the back door.
Yeah.
With your hood up.
My hood is always up outside.
I heard like a little kind of tap. I thought, what was that? And then I saw you, and I jumped out of my skin about 4 or 5 times.
It was brilliant.
But the thing is, I can be playing guitar upstairs in the bedroom, and Kate can walk in and offer me a cup of tea or whatever, and I'll jump out of my skin. I'm a very kind of twitchy, nervous kind of character. You scared the hell out of me, but the cookies are delicious.
Yeah, the colour that you lost through fright. You sort of go back with the sugar rush.
Yeah. So as a first attempt,
and then I went to Tom.
And then you went to Tom.
Yeah. Let's all say what we made.
Okay.
I made chocolate rye volcano cookies.
Chocolate rye volcano cookies. Wow, okay.
That's what they are.
I didn't detect any rye, but I wasn't looking for it, I guess. Well, I tell you what, as opposed to saying, should we just get
we've all had some of mine, so mine are there. If you want to have one, you carry on.
Yeah. They are, and fair play, Ad.
I'm definitely gonna do some more.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Should we get those out?
Let's have some cookies.
Oh no! Balls.
What have you done?
They're all falling apart.
And they're the size of dinner plates. What does that say? Colleagues at A-Strings UK.
Yeah. So, I've just done chocolate chip cookie.
Awesome.
Try? Yeah.
So did you know how to make this already?
No.
Right.
Well, I didn't know ratios. I knew what I put in it.
Yeah. Because that's the thing for me. I went from, mine was from a recipe, and I just, So there's no creative thing from me at all.
Well, yours, Tom, they look amazing.
Mine are Scotch bonnet, vanilla, and chocolate.
Oh, wow.
Biscuits.
You can see the red in that front one, the back one. I'm going to go for one.
I wonder whether the sugar neutralises it.
There's a whole Scotch bonnet chili in the mix.
I'm going to go for this one because it's got loads of red in the back. And I'm not good with heat at all. But
this is nice, isn't it? Proper contributing to each other's happiness.
You say there's salt. There's definitely salt I'm picking up.
Yeah, I put quite a lot of salt in there.
We have got to give a special shout out to the people that have brought us biscuits for this week.
Massively. 8 for the season.
For the season, yeah. So very quickly, I'll just tell you who's brought us stuff in today and through the week up until today. So Chris, Chris, he's our tech. He brought in some Fox's chunky cookies, but white chocolate, which is like the best. And he said only the best for us. Obviously doesn't listen to the podcast because he would have come in with cookies that he'd made or biscuits that he'd made, and he is part of the crew, part of the team. So that does count. But no,
Also,
we got that.
Paul Heim,
Yep.
he's come down to visit from Glossop, and he come in like with his Parker jacket, come swaggering and going, "Oh, Andrew, I got some biscuits, like for you, mad for it."
Is that how he talks?
Yeah, and I said, "Oh, thanks, Paul." So he's bought from a bakery in Glossop, hobnobs, no chocolate,
It's interesting.
but proper baked ones.
Oh, okay.
And like a soft kind of cookie, which I
Nice.
think is better than mine. But yeah, it's their job.
It is their job. Yeah. We had Andrew Lay come in last week. No, he's already brought us biscuits. He's been in,
Andrew Lay.
he came in twice last week and brought us biscuits on both occasions. So he brought us
Do you
Choc-
think they're trying to kill us off?
chocolate fingers and chocolate I hope not. And chocolate digestives the first day, and then we had the big
Victoria Selection.
Victoria Selection
That was him.
the next day. Yeah,
Do you know what?
All of them.
Nothing screams class than more than a Victoria selection of biscuits. My mum keeps a few nice boxes of biscuits for when people come round.
yeah.
And something like a Fox's assortment, that's exactly what she'd keep in.
Jill is a lady of class. Yeah, thank you to Andrew, to Paul, to Chris,
Oh,
and to
So
ourselves for baking each other.
yeah.
It's
It's been a good season.
any highlights?
Of the season?
Yeah, biscuit wise.
Cheese Day, remember cheese biscuits?
That's happening next season. We'll do one then. We'll do one savoury each season.
So, that was good.
There's a lot of biscuit there.
there's
There's a lot of sugar. Mm.
And that's the thing, when you make your own, you're aware of the lack of nutritional kind of
It's crazy, isn't it?
value in these
And you
things.
still lick the bowl. I did.
Did you?
Biscuit News!
So the feature this week is going to follow on from the Dick Dale thing we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
because he's one of those guitarists that has been classed as an innovator
Yes.
as much as anything else. And I think maybe he's given that because, he did have a signature sound, didn't he? Now, it sounds a little bit disrespectful. I don't mean it to be that way whatsoever, but I think a lot of players that people say, "Oh, that sound, is how did he create that sound? Is amazing. He or she create that sound is amazing." I think that players move as fast as the technology allows them to. So, in 1958, 1959, what options other than a Stratocaster or a Telecaster really did an American have as an option to play? Mm-hmm. And, Fender were as much an amplifier company as they were a guitar company. That's how they started out with amplifiers.
Yeah.
So, he used a Fender amplifier, and the only effects available at the time would have been reverb and delay.
How did they create? Was it sort of the old sort of echo system?
So it would have been a tape delay.
A tape. It was,
and
right.
spring reverb or
Right.
or whatever.
Right. Okay.
But they were the only guitar effects that you didn't have overdrives at that point, did
No,
you?
for that, no.
If anything, you needed amplifiers to maintain their clarity, and distortion was an absolutely unwanted kind of byproduct of pushing your amplifier. So Dick Dale was the first one to have a 100-watt amplifier. Apparently, Fender made
Because he needed the
them
volume.
because they were playing bigger places, and as he was turning up, he was just
Breaking up.
yeah.
Of course.
With Dick Dale, this is the interesting thing. You put that same setup into Hank Marvin's hands, and okay, Hank used a Vox as opposed to a Fender, but the principle was the same. It was still a very clean amplifier.
Yeah. With a
Hank
Strat.
used a Vox because that's what was made in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Same could be said for Dick Dale. He
Yeah.
was an American-made thing.
They didn't have the luxury of choice.
No. So when you're in that kind of situation, you've got these and using what's available to you.
Yeah.
You know, it comes down to style, and I think that's where he was an innovator, really, in as much as, you know, Dick Dale played guitar like a punk. You know,
Yeah.
you look at how he hit that, you know, he's hitting those strings, you know. He had something ridiculous like 13s or 14s on his guitar.
Which is too heavy for an acoustic.
Yeah, but also
Bonkers.
because he was strung upside down, like with the Hendrix strap we
Yeah.
got here, because you got the bottoms, the thicker string.
Thick string on the longest.
I've got longer pull between the machine head and the bridge. The tension's higher on that as well. So,
Wow.
yeah, you know, he'd
So
hit
there's
that.
higher tension and a high tension string.
Yeah,
It's interesting because his sound was obviously got brought back to sort of popular culture through Tarantino's films and things like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The surf rock thing.
the thing is, just quickly though, like, even though, you know, his kind of spell in the sun was relatively brief,
Yeah.
you listen to things like the Beach Boys records and, you know, that surf rock movement.
Well, I think the surf rock sound, that kind of really
Yeah.
kind of washy, you know, the really sort of
twangy
kind of yeah, sort of soaked in reverb
Yeah.
sound. Yeah. That's a synonymous American.
you listen,
American
you know, the
guitar
introduction
sound now.
to Surfing USA, you know, the kind of thing.
Yeah.
Straight out of his, you know, his repertoire, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
So I think that he's an innovator for that kind of reason, not necessarily the gear that he used. Whereas you've got other people like Hendrix, that was essentially, you know, a very good blues player, but, you know, he was kind of pushing the amplifiers and you know, Dave Davis from the Kinks, first person to get distortion out of an amplifier on purpose. You know, these were people who were using the equipment to. They were pioneers in a different kind of way. You know, they
Yes.
were pushing
That
the
was-
equipment to do things that it wasn't initially meant to do.
Yeah, and that's purposeful pioneering then, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
and I think that you can be
Probably, you know, discovered by accident, but then, you know, discovering where that accident can kind of take you. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah. Because I think I was thinking about this when we were talking about the subject when we were choosing it. I think there's three ways to be quotation marks guitar pioneer. I think it's either that, like you said, accidental, sort of circumstantial pioneer, first one to do it, or first one that really experimenting with something and being totally different in that kind of slashing your cones
Yeah.
Ray Davis thing, or it's the band you're in.
yeah. Well, that's the other
It's the
thing.
music. It's the music that the band is doing, because I think I was trying to think of bands today of really pioneering guitarists, and a lot of it is not so much what the guitar is doing, but the music that it's
playing.
that's playing.
So it's and choice of notes are everything. So you know, sticking with the Dick Dale thing, you know, he was using all these kind of Middle Eastern kind of phrases. If you listen to Misalou, is it Misalou or Misalou?
Yeah, which is that's the Pulp Fiction
Pulp
one, isn't it?
Fiction
It's the
thing.
most, yeah.
You know, if that was played on like a Arabian kind of flute, or
It wouldn't
you
sound
know,
out of place.
It wouldn't sound out of place whatsoever.
Yeah, no.
You know, it's you know, you can imagine that kind of music going on in some kind of bazaar
Yeah.
somewhere in Persia.
So let's try. I'm going to try and think of some guitarists then that were, of course, the big ones come to mind, don't they?
So-
Hendrix comes to mind. Ray Davis with the cones.
The interesting thing with, you know, so the sound being one thing, but also, you know, the choice of notes and the style being something else as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, Dick Dale definitely, you know, the style of his playing and, you know, his note choice was Dick Dale all over.
Yeah.
That sound though was used by, you know, the Ventures, you know, sound, you know, exactly the same as that really.
And you do.
Dave Davis from the Kinks, I think you could tell his sound because it's that real raw kind of boxy kind of sound.
Yeah.
But his playing, I don't know, you know, if it's that kind of.
Yeah. But the one that's interesting that you don't sort of think of in terms of their guitar playing as being pioneering, but what they did was Townsend, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
because he was responsible for a lot of the Marshall development
Yeah.
through his playing, and he really wanted to push those amps
Distortion
and
yeah, absolutely. The Who is something completely different in as much as I read. Do you know what? It might actually be the same issue of Guitarist from 1994, but it was Pete Townsend was in it, and it described the Who as, you know, everybody's roles were kind of reversed in as much as John Entwistle, the way he played bass, was like a lead guitarist because he was just playing solos all over the place. He wasn't. He never pinned down just a root kind of note. At any point, Pete Townsend was keeping the rhythm because, you know, he wasn't flashy with solos or anything like that. Far from it, actually. You know, it was more just kind of rhythmic playing, just keeping everything kind of glued together. And Keith Moon was just like I think they described him as like 100-piece kind of orchestra kind of thing, where there's so much going on at the same time, you know. But, you know, the three of them managed to get a just a unit that kind of worked. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So he's somebody who I guess you could call a more equipment.
Yeah, an experimental pioneer. He kind of knew what he wanted, didn't he? In as much as, you know, pushing for that sound that he had obviously in his head.
Hank Marvin, you know, he's an instrumentalist. You know, he's got you can tell he's playing a mile off, you know, with that kind of, you know, warble with the vibrato and all that kind of thing. With the tremolo rather. But again, you know, his sound, I think, you know, he was the first one, but by accident, in as much as, you know, he had the exposure and he had the and the gear that was there was his was what was available to him.
That's really interesting that there was a guitar player in a band, you know, next on the bill or in the club next door, that the guitarist playing the exact same notes, exact same rig, and that's who it happens to be.
Yeah. Jimmy Page, I'd say it's all about option 3 for you, the band that you're in.
Yeah.
You know, he did some funky things with a wah pedal and a violin bow.
Yeah.
But it was a kind of an evolution of Hendrix, I think, really. You know, that kind of psychedelia feedback and...
and I think John Paul Jones was the real kind of writing force. It feels that way. It feels like John Paul Jones's songs are, dare I say, better.
Yeah. You know, everything else is... You know, I'm going to annoy a multitude of Led Zeppelin fans with, you know, such a broad statement, but, you know, a lot of the stuff is...
Blues covers?
Blues. Yeah, you know. But, you know, played impeccably and sung and played and treated that only Led Zeppelin could. You know, not taking away the genius away from them, but with regards to how clever the construction of their songs are, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go with you that, you know, John Paul Jones's stuff is probably...
a bit more experimental in its thing. Which is interesting, and this could end up with our season finale being the one that kills us off. But I think blues guitarists generally, there's two levels in there. There's you got good blues guitarists and you got like amazing, but it's all feel, isn't it? They're not breaking new ground.
No, Clapton, you know, a phenomenal player and talent, but you know, would you regard him as an innovator?
No.
You know, he played guitar better than anybody else, you know, back in the mid to late 60s that, you know, brought on the Clapton is God kind of thing and, you know, really elevated him to a superstar musician by the time he hit 25 or whatever it was, you know. So not taking away any of his talent or genius, but as an innovator, you know, there's nothing that he did that really kind of, you know, led on to people doing other things.
Yeah, no. I think that the only person that we haven't mentioned that keeps jumping up to me really would be Van Halen.
Yeah.
But there is that conversation of there have been other people two-hand tapping in the past, and it's just
Brian May did it before.
Well, there we are.
You know, on It's Late, and actually on I think some of Queen 2, he was doing a little bit of that kind of thing. But he's somebody who I tried to avoid bringing him up because, of course, I'm going to talk about him. But
I think he should be on the list.
Yeah,
definitely.
well, apart from the fact that the gear that he was using was completely
That's interesting. Brian is a mix of all three.
yeah.
He's a mix of the band
Because
you're in. He's a mix of the sound and
You look at with multi-part harmonies, plenty of people did it. George Harrison did a lot of it, back in the day, but everything was very kind of linear. Like 3 notes played in a sequence, fourth or fifth part, or whatever. Brian came along and he arranged solos and the way that he orchestrated kind of guitars as you would an orchestra. So it wasn't just your 2-part or your 3-part. You developed it so that it was all doing different things. So it wasn't all just going up and down at the same time. You'd have a lot of different
different parts doing different
but
things.
you listen to his best stuff really with regards to the orchestrations, and it's all Freddie songs or John songs. That's where you seem to have the freedom to be able to kind of think outside the box kind of thing.
Right.
And of course you got the 3-part delay things.
Of course,
he did that in a way that nobody else really have done it before or since.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And in terms of gear, everything was well, apart from famously made by him and his dad.
Yeah.
The Deaky was John's amp. Well, John made. And then you've obviously got the Voxes, but very much an instantly recognizable sound.
Well, yeah, absolutely. He took it. Basically, Rory Gallagher told him how to get his sound, and he plugged his guitar into Rory Gallagher's setup, and that was it. That's how he got his sound. So he was influenced from Rory Gallagher, but what he did with it then was innovative.
So Rory Gallagher was what, Vox then?
Yeah,
was it?
He used a Vox AC30s. For a while, I don't know what the story is with the Bassman, because I know he used a Bassman as well, but
right.
AC30s and a treble booster, a Rangemaster.
Ah, okay, cool.
And that was his kind of sound.
Yeah. Interestingly, saying about the Rangemaster reminds me of Tony Iommi, which was Laney with a Rangemaster pushed. I think that
I think that is innovativeness, or I don't know what the word would come from developing the music.
That's the writing style, isn't it?
Yeah. So the Godfather of heavy metal, or whatever you want to call it. That's where the category that he kind of sits in. The gear that he was using was fairly standard. It was SG, wasn't it? And
SG into some Laney's.
And was it Laney from the outset, or was it?
I think so. I can't remember him. I don't know. Well, I can't remember him as if I was there. Can't remember him. I'm not sure if it's always been famously Laney with the Rangemaster in the front. I'm gonna pass the conversation over because I wonder if Tom's got any guitarists in his mind that are innovative. I've got a feeling you're going to say someone.
The only person I was thinking of was maybe Jonny Greenwood, someone more modern.
Yeah. And I'd put that in the band section again, because the kind of music that that they wrote, the way they played, it's almost like you're trying to make the guitar to be a different type of accompanying instrument, because there's 3 guitarists, aren't there? There's a bassist and 3 guitarists. You got Tom York, Jonny Greenwood and Ed O'Brien. So there's plenty of room for everyone to do something different, and you've got to do something different when you got 3 guitarists in a band. Because
very much like Sonic Youth then, where the guitar is just not a guitar whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So how do they do it in that band then? Is it does one, because Ed O'Brien has just had his had his signature Strat.
Yeah.
So is one kind of a ambience maker, one like a riff? Do you know what I mean? Have they all got sort of set roles?
Because Ed O'Brien, on the Ed O'Brien Strat, you got the sustainer, which kind of makes you think that that's going to be used for a lot of ambient stuff. But
very much. We'll do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
And they're all, Radiohead's one of those bands that kind of makes you sick when you watch them, because they're all so insanely talented. There's plenty of videos on YouTube of Tom York just going up and doing Paranoid Android on his own on an acoustic, and it's the most amazing thing that you've ever seen. You know, just
You know, we could go on forever, and I'm sure that people listening would be shouting at the radio or saying about the guitarists, you know.
the most modern one that I can think of would be Matt Bellamy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Because, you know, with the Chaos pad on his guitar and on his guitar and all that kind of thing.
But again, that's through innovative through experimenting.
Yeah, you know, the technology's there available for him to kind of do it. And yeah.
Give Dick Dale a Chaos pad. See how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's why we're in a real kind of boring period when it comes to music nowadays, because there's nothing new to kind of hit us between the eyes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, with all these different periods of time in popular music over the last 60 years, you've had the development of gear, you know. So, you know, the 80s sounded, you know, you listen to music from the early 80s compared to music from the late 80s. There's like a sheen to the late 80s stuff, whereas there's a real dirty kind of atmosphere to, you know, the older stuff. You listen to, you know, things like early Spandau Ballet or Depeche Mode or that kind of thing, compared to, you know, the pristine kind of pop of, you know, the latter 80s.
Yeah.
And it's because, you know, the keyboards just got better and the software got better. Early 80s bands sound like early 80s bands because that's as far as the technology kind of allowed them to go. So now, you know, we're in an age where we've got, as I mentioned earlier, you know, we've got a Katana, we got a Mustang GT, we got a Code or a Core or whatever, all amplifiers you can buy for under 200 quid, which has every single guitar sound that anybody could ever want,
including all your crazy experimental stuff that's kind of preset already.
How fantastic! But at the same time, you know, it's all there. You know, there's nothing new to be discovered, and it's So
I think that's why I like the pedal thing so much.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like magic in every little box,
and you can backs and yeah. But I think, you know, that means that, you know, just the quality of songwriting, you know, it needs to be that much better nowadays. Yeah, because, you know, there is nothing new sonically. I don't think that you can that you can extract from a guitar amp and a pedal that has not been used in a very similar way before. You know, you just got to. Yeah, it's depressing, isn't it?
Eyes to the future, I think. Is the, ears to the future.
Yeah.
So should we move on?
Yeah.
Elwin Smiles.
So now this is where Elwin Smiles should be, but this is week 2, and I've had no comunicado. Now, last week we had it, but it was the day after we recorded. Luckily, we'd planned ahead and put in some canned reaction.
Can we just put in that canned reaction from last week?
The exact same one?
The exact same one.
Can you do a negative one as well, just in case?
Can you do what? Can you do a non-committal either way kind of thing?
All right, there we go. 3, 2, 1. Elwin. How's that?
Great.
A momentous week in more than one way. Not only did Wales win the Grand Slam in superb fashion against Ireland at the weekend, but also this week saw my twins' 21st birthday, which brought back all sorts of emotions, given that they were 11 weeks premature and both weighed less than 2 pounds in weight. It's amazing to see what a great young man and woman they've become. Anyway, we were having dinner and talking about things over the years that they remembered and so on, and my daughter suddenly said, one thing I can remember that stands out, she said, was we were in year 8 and we had a quiz at the end of the day in the class, and she said we were drawing the 2 teams, and so the teacher had a tie-break question, and the tie-break question was, who was the fastest milkman in the West? My daughter's arm went up immediately and she shouted out, Ernie, sir. teacher couldn't understand how the hell she knew that. But it all goes back to me, silly dad, over the years, playing them Ernie the Fastest Milk Cart in the West, showing them like the Cadbury Smash advert with the robots and all of the adverts for PG Tips with all the monkeys and everything. After all, what are dads for?
Elvin smiles.
Tom's top 5. Top 5.
So this week, my top 5 is greatest number 2s.
Are we talking?
Let's just
like the
let's
proverbials
just
or the-
go through with it.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Okay, so this is songs that got to number 2 in the charts.
Well, the Stonk's not going to be in it because that got to number 1.
Wow.
These are big songs that you'd imagine would have got to number 1.
Everybody do the star. Andrew's dancing the song.
And there are lots of them that I've missed out, but this is my choice. Number 5, Common People by Pulp.
Yeah. You're a big Pulp fan.
I love Pulp, yeah, and it is their kind of biggest song.
Yes.
Yeah. Did they have a number 1?
I
Disco
don't-
2000?
Oh, it might have been, yeah. But yeah, Common People was beaten to number 1 by Unchained Melody by Robson and Jerome.
Robson and Jerome.
Oh. Yeah. Love them.
Up on
Number
the
4.
roof.
Take On Me.
Aha.
Uh-huh.
Right. And who beat them?
Jennifer and Rush, The Power of Love.
Power. Oh, good song. Her hair is incredible in that song.
Is it?
Yeah. I like a woman with big hair.
But also, that's one of the great videos, Take On Me. And,
Yeah.
And the early, an early video.
Yeah,
which you
yeah.
would imagine made a massive impact.
Yeah. Well, it's often regarded as being one of the best videos of all time, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like it's
That would have been right at the start of MTV then as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3,
Hmm.
Wonderwall Oasis.
Of course. Was it Wonderwall? No, was it Wonderwall against Country House, or was it Roll
No,
With It?
That was Roll With
Roll With It. Right. So what was number 1?
It. So number 1 was I Believe by Robson and Jerome.
No, Robson Jerome.
So yeah, that was the same year, 95 as Common People. So
Yeah.
Robson
Wow.
and Jerome had a good year.
Yeah, very good year.
But also, Mike Flowers brought out a cover of Wonderwall the same year.
Yeah.
And was number 2 at Christmas.
Mr. Blobby, number 1.
Michael Jackson, Earth Song.
Oh, Michael Jackson. Yeah.
Which means there's only one episode we haven't talked about Michael Jackson.
Without talking about the massive elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Number 2, God Save the Queen, Sex Pistols.
I think
So-
this rings a bell.
Okay.
To what's number 1, but I can't remember.
But the God Save the Queen is an interesting story because a lot of people think that it actually should have been number 1.
But it got
But
kind of...
yeah,
Okay.
for political reasons,
Yeah.
it didn't make it. But yeah, number 1 was I Don't Want to Talk About It, Rod Stewart. And my number 1 choice is Waterloo Sunset,
One of my
which is just a
favorite
great
ever
song.
songs. Yeah, who beat that?
The Tremolos, Silence is Golden.
Silence is golden. Do you know what? I got a couple I'd like to add to that.
Manic Street Preachers.
Yeah. Return of the Mac by Mark Morrison. Is it Mark Morrison?
Yes.
Yeah. Beat
Mannix.
Beat Mannix.
Right.
And
What was that? Design for Life.
yeah.
Right.
Killer Queen was beaten by I think it was David Essex.
Right.
Yeah. There's a number of injustices with regards to number 2s. But I think that makes them that I think that missing out, especially to the people that you that have beaten you in that list, especially, I think there's almost like a little bit of a pride behind it, in as much as
Well, in a few of Tom's ones, you've got the band against the manufactured pop,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
that's
Which-
a lot of it.
and the money behind that as well. Like it's yeah,
Especially Robson and Jerome at the time, fresh from Soldier,
yeah.
the push they were having. God, I remember that. 90s.
Open up a whole can of worms.
No, I think my mother was a massive, as most women were in the 90s of Robson and Jerome.
That was a good top 5, Tom.
Great
And,
top 5.
Jerome's in Game of Thrones now, so he's all right.
Yeah.
How about Robson?
He
does
fishes.
fishing,
What is he a fisherman?
He's got
a TV fisherman.
TV fisherman. Yeah, I think he's, I think that's his proper hobby. Like, I think he really does love it. But he still does act. He does stuff.
Yeah.
Not sure about the singing anymore.
Just for the halibut.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Good top 5. I enjoyed
Nice.
that one.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Well then, Tom.
Nice.
Top 5.
Thumbs top 5.
Top 5.
Top 5.
Social media comment of the week.
So we move on to the final social media comment of the week for season 1. I like calling this season because it feels like we're
HBO.
yeah.
Oh, I should have picked a nice one, shouldn't I?
No.
Well, we had
It's not a nasty one. is it?
no. We had a social comment of the week, didn't we? Who come in? You say the other day and said to Adam, "You look really tired."
Oh yeah, Matt. He's been brilliant. He's got one of the Japanese takamines offers.
Yeah, he's
Pine Jasmine. But he was like, "You look really, really tired today." I was like, "Thanks."
yeah. See, and I actually appreciate that a lot more than the people who hide behind their keyboards. At least he's got the guts to say it to your face.
I mean, he was saying it out of concern. He did look. He was like, "You okay?" I was just like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm fine."
You got these horrendous bags under your eyes.
I was like, "You would too if you were up watching Netflix until 3 in the morning."
So, what's the social media comment?
This week's social media comment of the week is from the Squire Contemporary video, and it's by Pulse 2 AM edited.
That doesn't stand for Andrew Morgan.
No.
You think 30's bad, wait until 60 and you're constipated all the time, and those tattoos look like a skin disease.
Now,
The-
the good thing is that he's sharing his experience with me because he clearly knows. He's clearly of an age where he can relate. Because the constipation thing, he hasn't just pulled out of the air. This man is suffering behind this keyboard.
I'd
But skin disease, yeah. I see.
inappropriate use of a comma as well. So, if you did take it to heart, I'd have comforted you with that. But you don't seem too bothered. It's not quite as bad as was it last week.
Last week's one
you
was,
got a little bit
pretty brutal,
soapboxy. Yeah. Yeah. So
Don't go after my upbringing, innit?
Social media comment of the week.
So that wraps up episode 10, season 1.
I love it.
I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. I've got to go to the gym.
Yeah, we need to bring our sugar levels back down, ready for season 2.
Unbelievable.
Come back fitter and stronger than ever. You know, so by the time we start back again,
I'll be down 2 dress sizes.
it's going to start getting warmer. And you know what this room's like in the summer.
Oh, yeah, flipping heck.
We might have to think of holding it in a different location.
Right.
Back stock room 2. Got the air cooled.
You join us in amongst the cardboard.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do it on location.
Yeah.
On location from Sainsbury's Cafe, Pontefract.
It'd give that nice ambience, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, when it's like the archers and it's like in a cafe scene.
Yeah.
They got biscuits.
But yeah, they have. There's a supermarket full of biscuits.
Yeah.
We can be as creative as we want. We go to Barini's.
Yeah.
We go to the park. The world's our oyster. So, thank you very much for listening. We're not going to be too long away. So, in the meantime, keep an eye out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
We are back.
Yeah, we're back. We'll let you know when we're coming back with season 2. And please leave us a review on whatever kind of channel you're listening to the podcast from.
Yeah.
It's all much appreciated. Thank you for everyone who's contributed, whether it's to do with segments, biscuits, social media comments.
Yeah.
All that kind of thing.
Loaning us the guitar.
Yeah. Stuart's been a diamond this year, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So I've been Tom.
I've been Andrew.
I've been Adam.
Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you soon.
For season 2! Yeah! Bye-bye.